Hi, good afternoon. This is March session for the Sitecore user group Columbus. And we have today Bala and Madhu. They are presenting on Sitecore XM Cloud 101 Beginner's Guide. Everyone is moving towards XM Cloud nowadays, so this will be a very great session. Over to you, Bala and Madhu.
Thank you, Maulik.
Just one thing, I would request everyone who is not speaking, please mute your mic.
Thank you, Maulik, for the introduction. Thank you, Himadri and Maulik, for the opportunity. Much appreciated. Let's get started. Welcome to the user group. Today, we are going to discuss XM Cloud 101 Beginner's Guide. And Bala, it's you.
Hey everyone, thanks for the opportunity here. I'm Balaji Kandasamy, mostly known Bala, and I'm a Sitecore Technology MVP for 4 times. Also a Coveo MVP this year, and I'm also working as a practice director at CA. Thank you.
Thank you, Bala. Here I am, Madhu Anbalagan. I'm a Sitecore Technology MVP for the last 5 years, and I work as an independent consultant. Here are the handles to reach out to me. And if you're looking for independent help or contractor or any type of a help, feel free to reach out to me. Thank you. So today's agenda, we are going to see what is XM Cloud. Since we have been listening to the viral XM Cloud since last year, so we are going to look into it, what is XM Cloud, and there is XM Cloud Plus as well, which was announced in last CirCon, and so what is the difference between XM Cloud and XM Cloud Plus, and why do we need to choose it, and what is the terminology and its limitations, how is the developer experience and a content author experience, how is the transition path from XP to XM, and how do we do it, how do we do the training and its types and certification and voucher codes. And finally, we'll see a detailed demo and question and answers. So with this, I'm going to run a little bit quick on the slides so that we can focus more on the demo, because demo is where we can do the, where we will be building the site pages, everything from scratch. We'll show you how it looks like, how we can edit everything. So I'm going to quickly go through the slides and we'll focus more on the demo. So what is XM Cloud? We all know that it's a SaaS platform. It's a cloud that Sitecore has introduced last year. So that we don't need to deal with the upgrades in-house updates. It's just once we go into the cloud, everything is going to be from there. No more upgrades. It's going to make our life simple, and it's a headless CMS, and we can plug in any sort of a front end, like whether it's Next.js, React, Angular, anything you like, and it has its own page editor, SXA, headless, like everything, whatever you are seeing in Sitecore XP, the same capabilities you can see in the content editor. But here we call the page, the content pages as pages editor, pages, and the editing part is what call as pages editor. We will see in the demo like how I'm creating the pages and how we edit it. It's really simple. It's a drag and drop. You'll see that how quickly we can create a page and publish a page, and it's ready to go live. And it's easy for the marketers and as well as the developers as well, because before the XP has one monolithic CMS, and now with the headless we have a lot more opportunities with so many different, whether we need a CDP, we can plug in Order Cloud, we can plug in search, we can plug in like whatever you want, we can customize it based on the needs, and so that it's super flexible. And the one more other important thing is the content delivery. There is no more CD servers because everything is publishing it to Edge. From Edge through GraphQL, we actually query against all the Sitecore content items, properties, everything, and then show it in the Next.js app or React app or anything you like in the front end. So no more web database. And with this, so what is XM Cloud and XM Cloud Plus. The Plus was announced 6 months ago. Basically, XM Cloud Plus is XM Cloud and the Search, the Connect, CDP, and the Personalize. So we have all four different pieces. Whichever we need, we can. Plus comes with all four components. But if you don't need Plus, you can plug in separately Search or CDP or Connect, anything you like as well. So if you have a bigger site and you need all the CDP, Personalize, Sitecore Search, everything, it's good to go for XM Cloud Plus. And here is the chart. It took us a while to bring up this chart because it's like every day it's keep changing. But so far, this is the latest. With XM Cloud, there is no search, but with Plus, it's there. Analytics with XM Cloud, it comes with the limited 30 days only. But after that, if you need more days, you need to purchase the XM Cloud Plus. The same as integrations and connectivity. XM Cloud Plus, there is no integrations, but with Plus, you can connect to the Sitecore Connect. And personalization with XM Cloud, yes, there is a very basic one, but with Plus, you can have personalize it to the level of whatever you want. And Forms, it's been recently announced a month ago. It's available in both places. And what are the features? Why do we choose the XM Cloud? Because it has the flexible pricing and also it is from the cloud. So based on it, you can scale up and down. And also the charges are going to be based on traffic. It's not like based on like how many sites you have, how many multi-sites, or it's not based on anything. It's just purely based on traffic. And also you can scale up, scale down based on your traffic. And if you have a holidays coming up, the traffic is going to be high and low. Based on that, you can actually scale up and down. So we have a lot more flexibility and we have a lot more flexible pricing as well, which make it really competitive in the market. And with this, I'm going to transfer to Bala. Bala, here you go.
Thank you, Madhu. So with the features, we are looking at, give me one moment. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so with the features, we have automatic updates. So Sitecore XM Cloud is known for pushing a lot of updates. Pretty much, sometimes they do push updates weekly. So you automatically get all those new features whenever there is a push, and you don't have any downtime. The upgrades are happening. Like Madhu mentioned before, it's all scalable infrastructure. The page speed and performance is much better because Edge is on the CDN side. So it would have a better performance because we don't have CDs anymore and all the data is available. CDN, it's mostly cached, and so it can take any traffic. It can take any traffic that comes its way. So the next one is like the next generation visual authoring. So the visual authoring with the pages is totally new. It's much more newer compared to what we have been used with the experience editor in the past. Dynamic personalization, so some base level of personalization is available it's available out of the box with XM Cloud. Like we spoke before, like the basic XM Cloud comes with 30 days of data that it would hold. Internally, it is using Personalize, but if you need to extend that, you can always get the license and have a full-fledged Personalize. So when I say Personalize, the personalization happens only on the XM Cloud side, so you will not have access to the backend Sitecore Personalize. Site and page insights, this is more like how many people are visiting, what pages are being visiting, all those insights are available, and that is again only 30 days data will be holded. It has built-in DevOps, so we'll have a GitHub repository where push the changes, and all the pipelines, everything is already in place. So we don't have to deal with any of those deployment related configuration. Global content delivery with Experience Edge. Like I spoke before, they use Edge, where it is being used as your CD, and all your data is published to Edge as data, and then it's all cached, so you can use it in your Next.js app or React app. On to the next one. Licensing, and also one other thing I want to mention is like we want to keep this interactive. So if you have any questions, you can ask in between. That's okay. So we want this to be more valuable rather just walking through all these slides. So from the licensing aspect, it's going to be more traffic based. It's going to be traffic based, no more custom domain limits. Earlier, it used to be the number of ZD servers, the number of servers on your domain, and the perpetual licenses, and you will also limit on the number of domains. So with this one, you're mostly traffic based. You can have a number of domains, and it is project based. We'll talk through this terminology when I'm showing the demo. When I say project, it's one particular project. It can have multiple sites. You can think more this as like a brand kind of a thing, but we'll talk through when we show the demo. Edges, again, there is a bandwidth limit on the edge. It's 1 terabyte per month per project, and then if you need to extend that, you can extend it, paying additional license cost. Edge storage also limited to 5 gig, and if you need to extend that, again, there will be additional charges. There is a concurrent author limit. So when you buy licensing, you need to talk about how many authors will be. I believe it's by default is like 20 or 25. But if you need more, you need to ask. Vercel or Netlify, or the front ends that they are using for the Next.js application hosting, either you can buy that yourself or you can bundle it with the XM Cloud, so that Sitecore will take care of those licensing costs as well. So you will have like one bundled cost for XM Cloud, so you're not buying with different vendors. And as per the support, like typical, you have like the standard support and the premium support. Terminology, these are the few terms that is very commonly used within the XM Cloud. So organization, it's more like your top level. For example, ABC is your company, then that's your organization. ABC has 2 different brands. For example, XYZ or some other thing, then they are like 2 different projects, and each project will have environments. Environments is nothing but like a dev stage and prod. That's your typical environments. Experience Edge, like we spoke before, it's the CDN, or your content delivery is running on the edge. So whenever you publish, it'll be like when you do a publish to web, it's typically going to your Experience Edge. And then pages is the new one that I was talking about, where you will be editing all your pages. It's like your new experience editor. Component builder is a new concept where you can build components without the help of developers. So basically, if you want, like I want an image here and a text here, typically it goes through the sprint cycle, then you need to build a component. But with the component builder in XM Cloud, you can pretty much do that out of the box in the platform and then use that component right away. So you're not waiting. The turnaround time will be pretty quick. And also those components that you build on the component builder can be used within multiple sites. So if you have one template that you built out, then you can use it across the board. Personalize, like we talked before, personalize is what used for the personalization here. And then you have the site and page insights, which is more like your analytics of the site. So let's talk through the limitations. So there is no more CD like we defined before, and also identity roles are not there anymore. Recently, they also had this single sign-on authentication integrated. One other thing to be remembering is publishing to Experience Edge is going to do the compute of dependencies. So sometimes it will take a lot of time to publish. It's not like one single page. If I publish, it's it's just going to publish that particular item. A lot of times it computes the dependencies, what it is depending on, it needs to publish everything. There is no search and there is no Solr exposed out or something. Mostly you have to deal with GraphQL endpoints with queries if you're dealing with custom code. Limited personalization data, like we spoke before, it's not going to hold like XTB for the entire process. It's going to hold only like 30 days of data. So you don't have no more modules. Like in the past, we used to have packages that we would install. For example, PowerShell extension by default comes part of the system, but certain things like if you want to install Coveo, you cannot do those things. Content migration at the moment, they don't have a DB support. Like when we do content migration in the past, we will be able to plug in our database from one environment to other. Yeah, you have a question?
Yeah, you mentioned no more modules. Does it like you said Coveo, but can I use search text because I would be able to install the package, but not on the Docker, but at least XM Cloud, I will be able to install the package.
I doubt you can't, but I might be wrong here. Personally, they said that it doesn't support packages or modules. You cannot install the modules.
I think
if you have done it, like I know you're actively working, so you can correct me here.
Yeah, we have done it. I don't have JSON. So we have added search text in XM Cloud very recently.
Okay. But did you install the Sitecore package or did you just do it as more like crawling the site out of the box?
I'll check it out.
Because with Coveo, what I remember is like they were directly ingesting it from the edge endpoint, like an API crawling, or you can build the site and then directly crawl the site as a web, not like installing a Sitecore package and the Sitecore items getting out through the push API.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
If you can find, just let us know within the call or later is fine too.
Sure. I'll come.
Okay. Thank you for that question. Content migration. So one of the friends in the community, they did something creative in this content migration. When they were doing it, they connected it to your connected the Sitecore XM Cloud to the local instance where they had their older database as a more like a separate connection string, so that they were able to move things between that old database and into the XM Cloud instance. So that is one way you could do if you're creative. And since everything is coming out of Edge and CDN, so there is no more custom pipelines that we are used to. So these are few limitations. This is just a general architecture here. So if we can start from the bottom up, and when you see the developers, they deal with the CLI, and that's how they have their Docker instances. They can connect it back to their XM Cloud and then push through the CLI, the content from your local instance up to the XM Cloud or pull it the way. And there's the same way you would check in your code, and that gets deployed to the XM Cloud. If you see on the right, the content authors, marketers, they'll be directly dealing with their front end, like the sites, components, explorer, and pages. And once everything is ready, the data gets published over. The published content and layout assets gets pushed over to Sitecore Experience Edge, which is another CDN. Eventually, that data is being ingested or requested from the Next.js app. In this case, we are showcasing that is being hosted in Vercel. So it can pull the contents from the Experience Edge and then use it in your application. And on the left, if you see they need to have a search, then probably search is directly crawling the Next.js app, which is public facing, and it's going to use the sitemap crawler, and that content can be used and eventually use the search within your Next.js app. On the left, if you see all your behavior data is going back into CDP and personalize, and that is used by the embedded personalization. And this particular piece of CDP and personalize is behind the scenes if you are using XM Cloud. And if you use XM Cloud Plus, then you would be having access to the personalize and CDP. One good advantage with this is, like, for instance, if you're starting a new project, you didn't want to do the CDP or personalize on day one, so you could keep using. At some point you think like it would be useful, then you can change the licensing and then you can open CDP and personalize behind the scenes. Yes, that's a possibility when you grow. Moving on. So developer experience, how it's going to be. It's mostly going to be Docker, so there is no more like local install and I can do things. It's going to be Docker setup for your local. You have to remotely connect to your cloud environment. Sitecore CLI would be used for the like the serialization stuff. Remote deployments are through your commits. Whenever you commit your code, it's going to trigger the deployment. And then they also have the XM Cloud CLI. So transition path. One, we need like, how do I move from our current MVC to this new XM Cloud? So a few things to consider here is the first thing, mostly it's all headless with the XM Cloud, so you need to transition over. So either you manually do it or you could use tools like Kaju, which can lift and shift your MVC components into a headless React components, and that could facilitate a faster transition. And then you can use Unicorn or Unicorn, or if you're using Unicorn or TDS, then probably you need to shift into the serialization SES, more like using the Sitecore CLI, and then eventually use that. Assess all your XP features and see what you're currently using and what is possible and what is not possible with XM Cloud. Plan for your external integration. So a lot of things with XM Cloud are going to be more like webhook based. So you need to plan for your integration, how you're going to do it. And the final one is at least Sitecore Forms in XP or XM is not supported in XM Cloud. So XM Cloud Forms is entirely different. So I know a few of our clients at least have a lot of forms, and then we also need to have a plan for how would we migrate those forms over to XM Cloud. These are the few things that needs to be considered when you're doing a transition. Training and certification, there are like instructor-led training. There are two different courses, one for the business users, how to use the platform, and then there is one for the developer, where how do we do the development and all those things. I personally have attended this course and has been really helpful, helped in my certification as well. Or if you're, it's going to cost you, I think it's 2,500 or 3,500. So if you're not willing to do that, you can go with the self-paced. There is a lot of training material that you can learn from the learning portal, and then you can start using it. And for the XM Cloud instance, if you're a partner, you can get your instance, but it's going to take a bit of a time. It's not quick and easy, and there is a cost involved when they're giving the instances. Okay, moving on to demo, I will hand it over to Madhu to give some brief on that.
Thank you, Bala. Let me start sharing my screen. Let's go to the demo. Cool. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Awesome. So basically, when you log into the Sitecore Cloud portal, this is how it looks. But actually, this is how it looks. This is an admin portal. Let me minimize it. So basically, this is an admin portal. From here, you can choose whichever the site collection you want, like open the app, and it basically opens the site collection. So you can see that it's XM Cloud sites. It's basically the site collection. And here I have a couple of sites, but let's create a new site. So here I am. So when I create a site, you'll see two different things, empty site and a basic site. So empty site makes sense because it's an empty one. But why the basic site? Because this whole XM Cloud I have created from the starter kit. So this is the starter kit. This is I have actually forked from the XM Cloud Foundation head staging. From there, you can fork it and you can deploy it. So once it gets deployed, the basic site comes with certain templates, pages, and everything. So this is basically an easier one, like how you go with the starter kit for SXA or Habitat or Helix or anything you like. The similar way, you can just fork it and deploy it and you can start utilizing them. So that's why you are seeing the basic site. So I'll just go with the basic site and I'm going to give it a name as Columbus. And let's create a site. This is going to take up 2 minutes. Meanwhile, so this is a new site that I have created this morning. So meanwhile, it's building. It's going to be exactly like this. So here there should be an image. I don't know why the image isn't missing. So it looks like from the media library, everything is missing. But pretend that it's an image. So when we click on it, it actually straight away goes to the pages. So this is what we call it as a pages, like how in XP we call it as content editor. Like similar way, we have pages here. So the pre-built pages are the home page and about page. Both of them are already built. And let's create a new page. So I'm just going to create a new page, something called demo page. So the page is created and it is empty. Let's drag and drop the components. So here are the components. There are some predefined, some pages and collections are there. But let's go to the components. Here we have image, rich text, like all the basic components, everything is here. So I'm just going to drag and drop. So I'm just going to drag and drop the title. It's just going to take 1 or 2 seconds and it's going to come up. And it even came up with the title, default title as what the page was created. So I'm just going to go with the default one. And let's maybe drag and drop an image. And here is the image. So I'm going to add a new image. So it looks like the media library is somehow it's not loading the images. So I just uploaded a new image called welcome. So I'm just going to use it. So here is the page. So it has its own styling, like all the properties are listed here. But the basic idea is this, that the page is just created in under a minute. And let's preview the page, how it looks like. So here is the page. You can see the title and the image already came up and the page is already added to the menu and it has its own header and footer. Everything is all ready to go. Similar way, you can drag and drop the rich text. You can drag and drop promo, page content. You can do a column splitter, row splitter, container, like anything you like. You can just drag and drop and set the properties. It's all ready to go. And similar way, we can also look into the page, how it's.
And those are like, headless SXA component, right? I mean,
Right.
yeah.
Right,
So,
right, Himadri. Exactly.
okay.
Exactly.
Just to be like, it's not
Say,
the components is something built on the Next.js, JSS, and
That is
that's
correct.
yeah.
right. Exactly. I was just saying from the layman perspective, but
Yeah.
good. Yep. Good. So the pages, you can view it in the desktop mode and how it is going to be in the tablet mode and the mobile mode as well. And also you can create the version from here. If you don't give a name, it's going to just default say that as version 2, and you can put a different content over here and it's going to be version 2. You can choose the language from here, and by default, the workflow, it's basically in the draft mode. You can also submit it for review, and you can put your comment and QA approval. Once you approve the product, it's going to be on, it's validated, it's ready to publish. You can publish the page or you can publish all the sub pages, anything you like to go. But basically the publishing is going to go to the edge, and from edge you are going to do it with GraphQL to display it on the Next.js or any app you like to go. So this is pretty much about it with creating the pages under a minute, and you can see how you can quickly add the version, how it's going to look like in responsive, the workflows, everything under super easy and super fast as well.
I had one question.
Sure.
could we create the themes for these sites, and maybe we could change the themes, like this?
Themes.
Yeah, the style.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yep.
How do we manage here?
So styling, you can choose it from here, or you can choose the layout as well. So a lot of customization options are advanced styling as well as optional available. So you can mention the CSS style sheet directly over here as well. Like if you have the whole website on the theme, and you can mention the theme
The class
theme
name.
CSS
Okay.
file. Yep,
It's
exactly.
not like the sexy themes that you could do. It's more like the styling that you can play with doing it here.
We
I'm
could
not
do
sure.
the customize themes too, right? Is it the default one?
Yeah,
That
this is the
comes-
default one. Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And if you have a customized style, you can feel free to give it over here as well.
Okay. Thanks.
Problem. Cool. With this, I'm going to stop sharing. Balaji is going to explain more.
Okay,
There
able
you
to
go,
see my
Bala.
screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So initially with the terminology, we did talk about organizations. So these are the ones you can see. I have a couple of organizations here. You can choose. And within one of them, I have, you can think all these are different brands, or in this case, demo site, and two different sub sites are being developed. And then once you click on three dots here, you have certain things. Either you can duplicate the site if you want to just clone everything. We'll just quickly look into the settings. General settings are here. Site identifiers, or like the site language, the things you can add it here. And going into the developer settings, this is where you get all your API endpoints, and these will be used for you to connect back to this particular instance from your CLI. Once we go there, and then, so the next one, if you go into the tools, this is your familiar Sitecore area. So the pages is the one Madhu walked through. Then let's look into the components. So the components is the one I was talking through. You can build certain things without the developer involvement. So for example, let's create a, I think this is the one I used. Okay. Let's create a new component. And then I can save this. Click on start editing. And this is like a blank canvas. You could choose, and for example, I want to add an element. Let's add an image. Oh, come on. Go here and click on add. So in this case, I want to add an image here, and then I want text here. So I can go here, the text, maybe which one. So inside that, this is just an example. So you could build a component like this, and then probably push this and use it in your. So I'll try to add an image. Let's hit stage. Images components. Then you can publish this. Styles, that's fine. So once you build your component, you got the idea like how we are building this. Is just a blank canvas that I was trying to do. So once you get into the edit mode, and you can also see how it's going to look in the mobile view, and I want this to be extended over or move it down. You can do everything here, and then save this, stage it, publish it. Once that is available, then you go back to your pages. Go back here. Not even done. Create a test page. Go back here and add your component, and you should have that You see this one is available here right away. So this is not the best way to demo this, but let me give you a example, or I could say. So if you go to sitecore.com, part of our training, we were able to build this exact component within like 30 minutes or so. Exact same look and feel, like with the proper background image, with this text and everything. So that's how powerful this particular component builder is. So my demo, whatever I showed here, is not perfect, but you could build something similar here. So let's go back into the that one and moving into this templates. So when you go into the templates, you can create your page templates. And moving on to this one, you can see the page design. These are like common terminologies that we are used to in the headless SXA. So you have the page designs, it's more like a top level layout, and then the partial designs are like header and footer, like small ones, and then you can open this and edit this particular one. And you can add anything you want here, and all your components will be available. This is like the regular one. And also you have these different views that you can check. You go back here. Moving on to the personalize. At the moment, I don't have anything set up, but once I have everything set up properly, then you would talk about like I can personalize this particular component of what I need to do with geo personalization or location that you could do the personalization. And analysis is more related to the visitors and how many average time viewed on the site visits. And this one, if you can see, it's disabled. It's more like it doesn't have an identifier. That's what it's complaining about. Let's do that. Assign an identifier. Let's do that. Go back. Pick up now. Okay, so now on the left you get the variant, so you can create a different variant. Say geo for now. Next. It's a new site, so it shouldn't have much of data here, but you can add your conditions. You can see all the details here. So for example, if I want to do visitor is from North America during the current visit, and then I can go back. So you can see there are two different variants. So default is this, and you go into this one, then you get this yellow icon, which is saying it's not personalized. So I can have a different text or a different image for people coming from North America, and that's how the personalization works here. This is out of the box that they give. And then if you go into analyze, and then you can see everything is enabled here. And this one, you can see the max limit is only 30 days. So you can only look into the 30 days of data. So you cannot go beyond that. Okay, so I think we covered most of the stuff here.
So Bala, I have a couple of questions.
Yes, please.
First of all, component is actually a separate product, right? I mean, it's a front end as a service.
This is a FEAS, yeah, front end as a service.
Yeah.
That is correct. This components have the ability that you can build a component here, and probably, for example, you can build a component, have the data, everything, and then use it in a WordPress or a different site. Yes, you can do that.
Correct.
With some JavaScript.
You can have a data source from Sitecore and populate that. Now, my question is what is the cost for that? Do you know?
There's no specific cost separately, and component is not sold as its own product. So it's part of the XM Cloud package, and then you can probably use the XM Cloud components in other areas. So it's not its own product, Madhu.
Okay, but it will be hosted separately, as a front end, as a service, and Sitecore, I guess Sitecore is going to take care of that
That is correct. It's all taken care by Sitecore, yes.
Right. So,
but it's part of your XM Cloud package if you're asking on the cost aspect.
okay. Now, why in like, why I will use component, not like, headless SXA build my own component using the Next.js. What are the scenarios that I'll prefer to do components or not do components?
So you would still, so it's more like a hybrid, I would say. So we are not entirely getting rid of custom Next.js or React components. The components, for example, if there is a campaign coming in, this is more like an advanced feature. So like I showed here, if you want to build this component, think about we are going to do this in our React or Next.js. It's going to at least take a sprint for a developer to get this component built with the data, templates, everything needed. It needs to go through a deployment. It's too much of a headache. And if you can build this entire same look and feel component in 30 minutes, so the content authors are enabled with a lot of things they can do it themselves, not depending entirely on the developers. It's more like a turnaround time. So it's not entirely taking out all the Next.js components, but it's more like this is more like a power that you have. If you need something quickly, you don't want to go through an entire deployment cycle, you can go ahead and build it. The good part of this is if you're building this component, for example, in most of the Sitecore sites, you would see this banner component being the same look and feel. So if you're building something like that and you can leave it in the components builder, that can be repurposed in different brands. So it's still reusable too.
Yeah.
So you need to have a hybrid approach.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think about from the architect's perspective, like, what kind of functionality you want to build with component and what you want to keep in on the code side, right? And obviously, like, if you have business logic and things, integration, you want to probably, you definitely want to use like, Next.js. But here is like, it's just you have few content and you just want to quickly build something. It really doesn't have a business logic. You have some CTA and some text and image. So go for it. It's just quickly you can do that. Okay, so good. Good to know that it doesn't have a separate price or something. The other question I have on the personalize is actually inbuilt personalization. It's more of rule-based personalization, right?
Correct.
It's just kind of replacing XP rules engine.
Yes, exactly.
And providing, okay.
But it is internally integrated to the personalized product.
Oh, okay.
So internally, behind the scenes, it's personalized only. Personalized product is what is being used. But we are not exposed. That's what I was telling. If you decide in future, I want to have like, hey, this personalization is not enough and I would like to extend this to get all the Sitecore personalized features, then you can buy it and that could open up your instance. So you could still use that. So it's not more like, oh, now you're using personalized, you need to separately integrate that.
Okay, just to be clear, like, to start with, I don't need personalization, so I do not subscribe personalize, right?
Correct.
And I go with XM Cloud in build personalization. And you are saying that this data gets pushed in personalize and that's not my tenant, right? Is it like a common?
You will have your own tenant, but it's not opened up for you because you don't have a license for it. So they just give you a 30 day of data and that's what they retain. But if you think I want full access to it, so you can say like, hey, I want this personalized full access. Then they can open it up and then eventually you will be able to access the Sitecore personalized product.
And
for
I will be able to see last 30 days data in my portal. Okay, I didn't know that. Okay, so this is basically these rules and things are going to the decision table.
Yes.
And running from there.
Yeah, so that's why out of the box they gave some basic things available for you. But if you want like more full-fledged thing, then like once you have the personalized licensing, then it will open up with your data, what you have.
Makes sense.
So it's not going to be like an entire new instance. Now you need to redo everything.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And good questions, Himadri. That's it's good asking those things. Other thing I want to cover.
Bala,
Yeah.
one more thing. If you go back to that personalize, so
Sure.
there is one important thing which is changing here. We are currently working on XM Cloud, and then I came to know we have no longer component-based personalization. The personalization is now page-based. Means you cannot, in XP, we click on the component and personalize that component. Here, the whole page is personalized.
But at the moment it is supporting, you're saying that they're removing the support?
No longer component-based. If you see, you have created the page variant. You can't create a component variant that can.
I see. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, so
thanks for bringing that
each
up.
and every component can be personalized, but it's like the whole page. We are not creating 3-4 different personalization of a one component. It's the whole page.
Correct.
It does show up in the page variant. Okay.
Yeah, it shows up as.
Earlier we used to do at the component level. Now it changed this thing. So yeah, I should have clarified that.
Well, yeah, good to know that kind of limitations, because it used to be, and it makes sense to be component based, but yeah.
It's more the architecture, how they are storing things and how it's going back to the.
Maybe because of the static generation, because you cannot really generate a component. You have to generate the page, right? And you have two different. Okay, makes sense.
Where is that one? Pages, and let me go back. So Explorer is one thing you need to take through, and let me go into our site. So this particular page, and here is where we'll be looking into the more like the content editor view, and also all the status of the workflow and everything is visible here. So this is one thing, and also I need to cover the final piece is forms. Oh, one other thing I didn't mention is this is your project name here, you can see, and this is your environment name. Typically, it will be like dev, stage, or prod. According to your environment, you can see these settings here. So once you go into the tools, and then we did cover experience editor and forms is one thing. I mean, like we have only a few minutes left. So I'll just take the existing one. Forms is something recently that they launched. The Sitecore Forms is totally different from what used to be in XM or XP. And the forms here, at least I'll give the basic thing there. Like it's not full-fledged forms that as whatever features you had in XM and XP are not available in Sitecore XM Cloud Forms. It's just a first release that they have went through. There are certain components that you can use. A few things like reCAPTCHA is built in that you can use. And they don't have like conditional based forms, but you have multi-page stuff available. And whenever you submit the form, earlier it used to store in the forms database, and with the Sitecore Forms, the data will be kicked into a webhook, and then you have to store it outside the system, so it will not store it within Sitecore. And your the design and all the components, everything is all like currently they don't support custom components at the moment, at least. So they have given, but it's all like first release, so we don't have much information on how do I build a custom component for this. Here you can leave comments, and then this is more from the authoring side, and you can do a preview here. But if you need to preview this on the actual page, then probably you need to have that what do you call, like, the page preview is not working with the forms. You need to have an app that could render this form. And then you have these views, versioning, and then some logic you can add as well, which field and what you want to show, some basic stuff you can do here. Okay, from the settings, you can see which webhook that it needs to push. So here I just put a dummy one, and then you can hit test webhook, create this and set next. Submit, and you can see the details are going to come through like this with your, this is your field name. And then this is going to send the data. So when you build the forms, ensure that your field names are properly, because when you simply drag and drop, it's not going to give you the right field name. And this is the same field name that you will get it in your webhook. So ensure that when we design this. I think that's all we had for today. Happy to talk through any questions or something, give some time for that.
Bala, you said a webhook. So doesn't this webhook also stored in Sitecore somewhere, or?
The webhook details are stored, but when you push the data, the webhook pushes it out of the system. So the data never gets stored on Sitecore.
Okay. So before implementing Sitecore forms, we need to implement a webhook receiver.
Yes, you need to.
System.
Yeah, external, more like an Azure Function app or something like that could receive the data, and then eventually you can store it in SQL or whatever your preference is. And also the data, when it's getting transmitted, is just doing a HTTPS. So like I should, sorry, I showed here. Wait, where did I see settings? So when I showed here, you can see the content is plain text only. So we also, it's not like an encrypted text or going through, but it is being transmitted through HTTPS, so nobody could do anything in between, but just to be aware of.
Okay.
You will get, this is the details that you will get. And also here you will find which page is coming from. So if you have some logic, you can play with that on the function app. Okay, time for any questions. A few minutes left.
Yeah, let's ask some questions. These are experts.
We have experts, Maulik, and people working in live projects, but this is all more like a curious and learning knowledge and talking to people and understanding what are the limitations when we try to, sell it to a client.
Well, that's exactly the purpose, right? I mean, bring your experience here,